Let's join Linda Garvey as she explains the elements that you need to factor in when you're thinking of starting your own organic vegetable growing journey.
Organic gardening seems to be the buzzword these days, and for good reason. Why do you want to start an organic vegetable garden? Do you want to be surrounded by this deliciousness? Because let me tell you, this is one great way to spend some spare time. Just being involved with nature, and then knowing that you're nurturing these beautiful plants and you're going to eat them. The question is, do you want to do it for health reasons? You are what you eat. Remember that. If you have access to organic vegetables, you're well on your way to being healthy. There's no better way to educate your children, bringing them into the garden, showing them how tomatoes actually grow and what the plant looks like. So I started my organic vegetable gardening 6 years ago. The reason is I simply wanted to taste that delicious Italian tomato in all those wonderful recipe books. I wanted to know what it felt like to have different color cauliflower and different color carrots so that I can make my dinners interesting. I could also eat better. You know, having different varieties of vegetables makes you want to eat them more. You can ask any child who doesn't want to eat their beans. You know, instead of a green bean, you can get a purple bean. I call them magic beans because when you cook them, they go green. The beauty of heirloom seeds is that you do get all these wonderful varieties. So when you're going to start your vegetable garden, your organic vegetable garden, there's a few things that you really need to consider. Time is money, and it's really important to decide what you want to eat. No use growing a million different things and letting them rot in your garden. So sit down, take a pen and paper, and just make a list. Tomatoes, something that I really love, dear to my heart, so there's always about 12 varieties of those in my garden. And once you've decided what you want to grow, you can go outside and check where you're going to grow it. So position, position, position. You've all heard that word. The truth is that when you're going to start growing your organic vegetable garden, you need to know that it's going to be part of your lifestyle. When you start planning your garden, as I said earlier, planning is key. The reason is you simply want your vegetables as close to your kitchen as possible so you can access them at any time. When you go out into your garden and you see where you want to grow your vegetables, be sure that you do not consider planting any vegetables in deep, dark shade. They just won't grow. 5 to 7 hours of sun a day is really important when it comes to vegetable growing. If you have some dappled light where you want to grow your tender leaf stuff like lettuce or sweet basil, anything that feels soft like a lettuce leaf, you can certainly put it under a tree where it gets possibly about 3 hours of sun a day and then some shade throughout the day. Some shade, dappled light. I must insist on that. As you know, living in the southern hemisphere, having a northerly facing garden will give you sun throughout the day. How you tell? Well, you see where the sun rises in the morning, which is the east, and it follows through the sky to the west where it sets. And that will generally tell you an easterly and westerly direction. From there, you know north is directly in front of you and south is behind you. Once you've ascertained if your garden is going to get enough sun, be aware of simple things like trees. If the tree is evergreen, you'll know that that will cast a shadow exactly where the tree is growing, and the shadow will extend throughout the afternoon. In winter, that tree or another tree that's not evergreen will lose its leaves, and then you'll be able to get a lot of sun through that tree throughout the day. But no, when it comes to summer and those leaves are back, it's going to cast a shadow. In winter, you're going to get a shadow from approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which means you're going to lose some of the sunshine that you could possibly have been banking on in a summer garden. Things like that, just be aware of them. Summer garden, you generally have a whole lot of sun if your garden is north facing. If you're going to have an eastern wall where you've got western sun streaming down on it in the afternoon, obviously it's not a good idea to plant tender leaf stuff next to that wall. Just remember, planning is key. Be aware of things like buildings that are next to you. Sometimes when you're living in a townhouse complex and you've only got a very small patch of grass in front of you and you've decided to make that an organic vegetable garden, be aware if the wall on the left or right hand side doesn't cast a 2-meter shadow over the area where you're planning to do your vegetable garden. Also extremely important is wind tunnels. You won't believe how damaging wind can be. Not only will it stunt the growth of your plants, it creates an environment almost like drought, where it removes any of the atmospheric moisture. So the plant is constantly trying to suck more water up from its roots to keep the plant growing and to allow it to transpire. So be very aware of wind tunnels. I really have to stress the importance of irrigation. Vegetables, unlike succulents, really need a lot of water. But these days we do have water restrictions, which is something we have to consider. Have a water source close by. I always say, planning is 90% of the success. Know that when you're going to water your plants, you have to do that at least every second day in summer where it gets really hot. Of course, being water-wise these days, you've got to make sure you've got mulch all over your garden. You'll see we've got straw everywhere. It's really important to consider what you're going to use as irrigation. Are you going to use drip irrigation? Are you going to use a sprinkler system, maybe watering by hand? Remember, it's really tiresome walking up and down with a watering can, but if you've got a small garden and you can do it with a watering can, that's perfect. Just make sure that you make it part of your planning. Irrigation is key in a successful garden. So when you've decided on where you're going to put it, you don't need an enormous space, or you don't even really need sand to plant in. You can raise your beds, or you can plant in a pot. You know, that's also a form of raised beds, a balcony. Any small space you have on a kitchen windowsill, you can grow lettuce comfortably in a pot, or you can include wonderful varieties of herbs on your kitchen windowsill. My students always say to me, Linda, when is the best time to start a vegetable garden? Obviously, when it's summer and spring, everyone thinks, I can grow everything then, and when it's winter, we all huddle up into our homes and we forget that we even have a vegetable garden. That's absolutely nonsense. The only thing that you have to be aware of in winter is that things do slow down dramatically in their growth. But you can start your vegetable garden any time of the year, as long as it's not in midwinter. Just remember, planning is key.